Hey, good morning. Steve Wiideman and team here from Wiideman Consulting Group. We've got Larry Mersman over here and Jeremy Kokel. I always wonder if I get that right. Is it Kokel?
You do say it right, Kokel
Okay.
like vocal, but you can
Got
also
it.
say Kocal from SoCal. I'm okay with that.
Nice. I like it. Oh, cool. Well, it was during our normal kind of weekly review of what's going on in search and drinking some coffee. Today, our coffee is from Stereoscope, which is located
On Beach Blvd.
It's located on Beach Blvd.
In Buena Park.
Yes. Oh, it's in the Buena Park. It's
Yeah.
over by Porto, so we have to hit on our list too. So we're having the regular drip coffee today. We're going to check it out, see if it's any good, and then next week we'll try the espresso, either a mocha or a latte or a cappuccino or something.
Yep.
So cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
See,
Cheers.
yeah, some of this. Oh yeah. Oh, that's like night and day.
Yeah.
Last place we went had really good espresso, but I don't think they specialized in coffee because you had to wait for it. This one seems like they put some time into finding the beans. It's really
This
good.
is almost like that, the cherry part of the coffee bean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can really taste that.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have nothing in mind. There's no cream or anything. Do you?
No, mine's plain as
Same,
well.
like
Same.
Yeah.
Cool.
As is.
See, if Starbucks made their coffee this way, right? If they could do it, it would be
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah. Well done.
Cool. Well, I've been kind of all over the place. And by the way, if you hear any background noise, we've got some new neighbors moving in. I was just kind of making a joke before the video started that if the noise keeps up, I'm gonna go next door and say congratulations because something's going on, and you know, someone's having a good time. So if you hear any banging, apologize in advance. So talking about what's going on lately with us. You know, I've been kind of all over the place. 2 weeks ago, I was in Vegas for a conversion conference, and then I was in San Diego for local search summits. This week on Monday, I flew out at 5 in the morning, or arrived at 5 in the morning in New York.
Yeah.
Did a 10 a.m. 2-hour mastermind workshop on SEO. Then I did a 30-minute workshop on winning sales pitch because apparently they thought I could sell, and so I did a 30-minute on how to sell, which is kind of funny. All I really did was kind of go over our proposal. I'm like, here's how we made $4 million in 7 years. Right? Number one, don't hire shady salespeople. Number two, be a tech geek and don't sell anything, just inform. And I kind of went through all the different, where I started at $500, per strategy back in 2010. Now we sell them for like $500 and $7,500, which is amazing. And then next week I'm going to be in Toronto, and then I get a break for a couple weeks.
Yay.
Finally.
Nice.
And then the next event that I'm speaking at is going to be local. So we may all see if we can just sneak out and get a day out in Santa Monica. We'll see. That might be fun.
So what are those? You had a Q&A for the 2-hour SEO talk as well?
A little bit at the end.
Any
Yeah.
popular questions coming up?
Really interesting questions around like personalization.
Okay.
A lot of questions about thinking about SEO. Hey, if we personalize the experience for everybody, how does that help Google crawl to certain content? Like, well, you've got an HTML sitemap that's static, so they can get to that as a table of contents. You're feeding them an XML sitemap. And as long as Google has a way to crawl through to get to that content, they're going to crawl it, index it, and you should be fine. But the concern was, what if I want to personalize the experience for someone? This is a banking, I remember, a Citibank or someone who was there. I have a potential client who's in Anaheim, right? And I want that Anaheim client to know about our loan options. We've got a loan section, but it's national. And we have a local page that talks about our bank. How do I get that person who's interested in a loan in Anaheim to get our bank when there's so many local banks that are targeting Anaheim? I'm like, what's easy? Just introduce that copy to the Anaheim page, emphasize it, put in there the 3 or 4 things that you do, and maybe if you've got the bandwidth, create a sub page for it. Right? If you're looking for homes and real estate in Anaheim, here's some resources. Here's some things you need to know about Anaheim. Here are the tax laws. Here, anything that you can put that's personalized for that user. It's like, well, that'd be like 3,000 or 4,000 locations or something. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work. You got to figure out how you're gonna manage it, and maintain it. Maybe it's the branch manager spends 30 minutes a month keeping it up to date. Anyway, that was kind of neat. Other stuff going on. I got a note sheet this week because there's not a lot of interesting, crazy stuff. But there was a cool Google Hangout with John Mew. He usually does his what do they call it? The office hours.
Nice.
And and so a couple of things he said I thought were interesting is that they won't rank a site high specifically because it has structured markup. Now we know Pierre Farr, who was with Google years ago. I was sitting next to him at PubCon, and he says and during the question of, hey, should we mark up anything? He was actually in the audience, and he raised his hand and he said, hi, I'm Pierre Farr from Google. Mark up everything. Just mark up everything, because it helps the crawlers understand the content better. They may use it later on in snippets, and if they use it in snippets, it may influence whether that user clicks you in the search results or not. And that click behavior could be something that shows a positive ranking signal for them. So, so even though John Mew says, hey, you know what, don't worry about marking things up for the sake of ranking. Mark up things that will actually display in the search results. I say just still mark up everything, because Pierre Farr was a developer at Google, and he said it, and I'm never going to forget it. Don't waste your time optimizing for misspelled search terms. You ever wonder that when you're looking at your keyword research and you're going, man, I got to figure out how I'm going to include this. The reality is they figured it out. And in AdWords, for example, now even exact match includes the misspell and the singular plural. They know what the singular plural is, and they know the difference, so you really don't need to think about it. But back in the heyday, we would create a list at the bottom of our page, pre-Google Hummingbird, a little bullet list, and it would say people who found this page also searched for, and we'd include those misspells.
The misspellings actually used to be part of my when I used to do my speaking spots. Back with when I was with Trellian and Keyword Discovery, I would talk about the different spellings of recommendation or accommodation, and how you need to add some of the misspellings at that time frame, and try not to make it look like you're not all there.
Yeah, web crawlers would pick up words. That's what they did. That's
Absolutely.
what web crawlers' job was, is to try to find pages that had words so that they could rank those pages based on the words you searched. So glad that those days are over.
Yeah.
It's such a waste and just a bad user experience. What else was cool? Google measures site quality separately for each section of the website. Do you ever wonder why, for the attorneys, why I made such a big deal about personalizing the navigation at the top based on the practice area and based on the location?
Yep.
There it
So
is.
if we do a really good job with a certain section of our site, and Google recognizes other sites are linking to it, why wouldn't it rank that section a little bit better?
Yep.
And the way I look at it is, I look at each section like an AdWords campaign. You marry the data, right? The AdWords campaign might be personal injury or car injury lawyer, and that's your campaign. You've got all these different ad groups, and each ad group has a different thing about car wrecks, what to do after, who do you call after, does insurance cover, whatever, right? All the questions that are pertinent to that section go into different ad groups where you can address the client at different phases of the buyer's journey. And so if we think about our website in the same way, it's easy, really easy, to match our ad groups to the corresponding landing page in that section. And then marry the data, because you look at the search terms that perform in AdWords and you apply them to the local or organic landing pages. Yeah, and it helps your quality score, and it makes it really easy to match it up.
Love it.
So yeah, I love that they said they do that, and I'm not surprised at all. Google will likely move to mobile first indexing in batches, which is interesting. We thought they were going to do it last year, but from what I heard from our shoe client, he said basically that the expanded text ads look really crappy on mobile, aren't performing as well as Google had hoped, so they haven't moved to a mobile first yet, because they still haven't really kind of figured out what they want to do with it. So they're going to roll it out where it makes sense for certain queries, and then eventually roll it out 100%. That means that the desktop search results will be the same basically as the mobile search results, because there's more people on mobile than desktop.
Yeah.
But right now they haven't yet, because some queries just do not look good based on what the type of content is the users are looking for.
Another reminder to always check how your pages are performing on mobile.
I always look at my phone. In fact, if you look at our audits, you actually see a screenshot from my phone on the audit showing what it looks like during different sections. What else? Content that fades in onload in 2-second transition is not considered hidden. That means if you've got this sort of post-load script going so that the page loads, but not all the way, so that the user gets a chance to start seeing and using the website, and then within 2 seconds the rest loads in.
Oh, smart.
SEOs were worried that search engines weren't using that content because it was a post-load thing. But they are, as long as it's under 2 seconds.
Cool. Got it.
And that's funny, because the 2 seconds is the same number that Gary Iles keeps using when he's talking about millennial experience and webmaster tools.
We're down to 2 seconds. I mean,
2 seconds?
Nope.
If you can't find what you're looking for in 2 seconds, you bounce. You pogo stick.
that is a very fascinating number to keep in mind.
You've got things to do.
Yes.
The last thing, and you probably already know this, content position in HTML affects context, which means if you've got a div that's around parent topic 1, and then you've got some random stuff in between, and then you've got subtopic 2, Google might not associate parent topic with subtopic. So trying to keep it organized and not just, and an example would be, here's some content that's similar to what you're reading that you might be interested in, and you break it up with that context. Now all of a sudden they can't associate one to the other. So they like when you use things like tables and you organize your content into lists. They can understand how one thing's related to another. And you start breaking it up with other stuff, then it starts to disassociate itself. Anything else interesting going on? The local ranking factor we talked about a few weeks ago, I still disagree. I don't think there's enough data to show that links play that much of a role in where you show up in Google Maps yet. I think in organic, but in Google Maps, I still think it's reputation, it's data visibility. I think it's your local landing page. I think data is still the cornerstone. And there's new updates to Google My Business, which is kind of interesting. You can toggle between accounts now. So when we manage several accounts, we can actually now put them all under our support email. And instead of having to keep logging into those client accounts, you can go to Google My Business from our main support.
That's great.
Toggle very easily, which is cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Good update.
I know. What else? There's some other cool things happening on mobile. If you look at mobile image search, there's some new buttons that you can actually click on.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, it's really neat. They've had before categories, which is something you can get by running a mechanical Turk request and saying, hey, define this image, and then you use those images in your metadata for the image, which helps Google. But now they have latest. That shows you kind of the latest that showed up. They've got GIFs, clip art, and actual color palettes. So if you pick red, and you do a search for roses, you can pick the color red, and then all the red roses will show up in the image search, which is really neat.
Nice.
That's about it. That's about all we got for industry news. So cool, guys. Thanks for hanging with us today. It's Stereoscope is the coffee. It's amazing drip coffee. You got to try it. It's awesome. Next week we'll try their espresso, and we'll see you then. Thanks for hanging with us.
Cheers.
Cheers.